Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. I am so excited you're joining us today because we're going to talk about something that can totally, completely change your business. We're diving into social media marketing. But hey, don't worry, we're going to strip away all those scary, intimidating marketing buzzwords that the experts love to throw around. We're going to make this incredibly simple, very easy to understand, and most importantly, super easy for you to actually go out and do. So let's start with a really honest question. Have you just been creating posts for the sake of creating posts? Are you putting pictures and words out there, just crossing your fingers and hoping that something magically works? It's kind of like throwing cooked spaghetti at the wall just to see if it sticks, right? If that sounds like you, trust me, you are definitely not alone. It can feel like running on a hamster wheel. You're moving super fast, but never actually getting anywhere. It's completely exhausting, and frankly, you and your business deserve a lot better than that. You know, the real trouble happens when we start treating our business page like a personal diary. There is a massive difference between posting for hobby and posting for a business. When you're just messing around and having fun, it really doesn't matter what you post. But your business isn't just a hobby. When we put our time, our energy, and our hard-earned money into our business, we want to see a real return on all that effort. We want to actually reach people, help them out, and grow our income. Okay, let's dive into this. Because fixing that spaghetti throwing habit is actually way easier than you might think. Everything we're talking about today comes down to a very special number, 3. You don't need some giant 50-page manual for this. There are just 3 simple goals you need to keep in mind, and a little later on, I'll share 3 simple tactics to help you actually reach them. Now, marketing gurus love to use their big words. They'll tell you that you need lead generation, lead nurture, and lead conversion. But let's translate that complicated jargon into plain English, shall we? Your 3 simple everyday goals are literally just this. Step 1, find customers. Step 2, build trust with them. And step 3, make sales. That is it, the whole shebang. Every single thing you post should be doing 1, 2, or all 3 of these things. If your post isn't finding customers, building trust, or making a sale, honestly, you just shouldn't post it. So what actually makes those 3 steps work in the real world? How do you get people to stop their endless scrolling and actually pay attention to you? Well, it all comes down to 2 main things: strong branding and relatable stories. For your audience to ever buy from you, they need to instantly recognize who you are when you pop up on their screen, and they need to feel a real, genuine human connection to you. And without a doubt, the absolute fastest way to build that connection is through storytelling. Just think about the biggest brands in the world for a second. When you see that famous Nike checkmark, you don't just think of a pair of shoes. You think of hard work, sports, pushing your limits, and being excellent. Or think of McDonald's and those giant golden arches. You probably instantly think of being a kid, tearing into a Happy Meal, and having fun with your family. These brands actually make you feel something. So I want you to ask yourself, what feelings do you want people to have when they think of your business? To create those kinds of great feelings, you really need to share your own stories. And this brings us to a fantastic tool called a story inventory. A story inventory is simply a master list that you keep. Maybe it's in a notebook or just a file on your computer where you write down all your life experiences. It could be lessons you learned as a kid, funny family moments, or the big pivotal reason why you even started your business in the first place. Just like watching the hero in your favorite movie, people love following a good journey. Having this list handy means you'll always have a captivating human story ready to pull from. Let me share a perfect example of this from our source material. There was a woman who was running social media for a dental office, and she realized something super important. If she just posted boring facts about fluoride or the mechanics of how to brush your teeth, absolutely no one cared. People just scrolled right past it. But when she started sharing funny little stories about the actual people working in the office, or even made up silly stories about the office goldfish, people absolutely loved it. That goldfish story stopped the scroll way better than the dry dental facts ever could. Facts are fine, sure, but stories are what actually catch people's eyes and hearts. All right, let's move into the next phase and see how this all builds into our action plan. We know our 3 simple goals now: find customers, build trust, make sales. So how do we make that happen on a daily basis? Well, I'm going to share 3 proven, incredibly simple tactics that will help you grow your business and land the exact type of dream clients you love working with. And this brings us right to tactic 1. Always ask them to act. At the end of every video or post, you have to explicitly tell your audience what you want them to do next. Here are some super clear examples of what asking them to act actually looks like. You can literally just say, click the link below, or get this free PDF, or watch this next video, or sign up for my webinar. When you're new to business, it is so easy to assume that if someone likes your post, they'll just naturally figure out how to email you or buy your product. But spoiler alert, they won't. People are busy. You absolutely have to invite them and clearly guide them to that very next step. Moving on, tactic 2 is this: date before you marry. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept of letting people really get to know, like, and trust you. That brings us right to trust. In business, trust does not happen by accident. Trust is the result of you showing up over and over again, consistently providing helpful, valuable content. It's all about making sure your audience actually feels valued by you before you ever try to sell them a product or a service. When you take the time to build trust first, asking for a sale later on doesn't feel pushy or weird. It feels completely natural. Just think about it like real-life dating. Imagine walking up to a total stranger on the street and shouting, "Hey, want to get married?" I mean, they would look at you like you were totally crazy. They don't know your name, you haven't even taken them to dinner, they know literally nothing about you. Asking someone to give you their hard-earned money on your very first post without offering them any help or stories first is exactly like asking a stranger to marry you. You've got to take the time to date your audience first. Which leads us perfectly into our final rule, tactic 3, the give and take rule. This is the 80-20 rule, and it's the absolute perfect formula for balancing how much you give versus how much you ask for. So the crucial point is that the math works out like this. 80% of everything you share should be pure, helpful value. That means sharing stories that tug at the heartstrings, teaching a helpful lesson, or just making someone smile. Then, only a tiny sliver, about 20% of your posts, should be asking for a sale or asking them to click a link. The vast majority of your time is spent just being helpful, with only a little bit of time asking for a favor in return. And get this, you can even apply this 80-20 rule easily to just one single post to build trust without being pushy. Imagine writing a really captivating story about a mistake you made when you first started out. That story takes up about 80% of the post. People are reading it, they're nodding along, they feel connected to you. Then, right at the very end, that last 20%, you simply say, "Hey, if you want to avoid making this same mistake, click the link below to get my free guide." See? You gave a ton of value, and then you made a really simple, natural request. So what do you say? Is it time to finally stop throwing spaghetti at the wall? You've got the tools now. Instead of using those confusing spray and pray methods in marketing words, just remember these 3 simple goals. Find customers, build trust, and make sales. And use your 3 tactics to build those relationships. Ask them to act, date before you marry, and always use the give and take rule. Because at the end of the day, viewing every piece of content as a purposeful step is what turns a fun social media hobby into actual cash flow. Every single time you post a picture or tell a story, you are taking an intentional step toward finding a customer, building real trust, and making a sale. So go ahead, grab a notebook, start that story inventory, and get started. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I'll leave you with this one question to think about. What story will you tell today to turn a casual scroller into a loyal customer?